Today we're going to talk about a various amount of topics. We're going to really get into humanity. That's been a big thing that we've talked about in our Rise to the King meetings is humanity. What we've been finding is that many Black men don't feel like they're human, and for various reasons, right? And we'll get into some of those, but we've realized that there's so many issues where you look at violence, right? You look at there's a Black man there who does not feel his humanity. There's a Black man who has never felt valued or felt worthy. So we have really been tackling those. We're also going to get into some things with masculinity. So let's go ahead and get started. Fellas, what does it mean to be human?
You want to go first? Well, I like to use the Oscar Wilde quote. He was like, art is the rules by which we perceive nature. So I feel like to be human is to influence the nature around you. And that can be interpreted as art or technology or what have you, but to be human is to influence nature around you, and that can be positive or negative.
I guess I'll piggyback off of that. Oscar Wilde had we'll call it an existential definition. That's kind of how I heard that. At the very base of it, to be human is to exist. I think of how our humanity was stripped from us as Black men, and all we were doing was just being. We were just born this way, and how those basic rights to be human were stripped away. So to be human is to exist in this plane, to be fruitful and multiply, to subdue the earth, to exert all the powers that we were created to do.
Well, I agree with that. What do you think are some of the reasons that Black men in general, and I mean, you can even say Black women as well, have struggled with humanity or the term of humanity? Like, what are the reasons they have struggled with humanity?
Well, I feel like the big key to that definition being the art side of it, art being the rules by which you view nature. So if to be human is to influence nature, then it's a dehumanizing feeling to be told that you have a lesser influence on the nature around you than another person. So I feel like that's the issue where we forgot how to teach people to live where they understand how they influence things. I feel like when people lash out and they say things people gonna see. They want to make a statement because they want to feel like they were influenced. They don't know how the moment you could decide not to beat up the dude who later on cures cancer, and then your daughter gets cancer, and then like that same person who you decide. So you can influence the world in various ways. It's just a matter of how you determine to interpret art. Some people determine art through destruction. Some people determine it through creativity or through understanding. It just depends on the person.
All right, hold on 1 second. DJ. Well, let me ask you this real quick. Was it forgotten or was it stripped from us?
I feel like it can only be forgotten. I feel like things that are like your genetic birthright, energy can't be created or destroyed. So along those, like only transferred. So on those same lines, it can only be forgotten. And the reason why you say it's forgotten, because as soon as you hear hip hop, you remember. You know what I mean? So as soon as hip hop comes on, you remember. Like right now, I'm gonna just plug it. If y'all go to YouTube right now and Google Tony Wilson, handle your business right now. There's a video that was out 4 years ago. And when you hear it, no matter what side of hip hop you on, it's something war chanting about handle your business, like the way he's saying it, like, and that lets you know you're human, and that lets Tony know it should let him know he's human, because you just influence vibrations around you to affect me the same way it affected you when you made it. And I think whenever you find yourself in a position where you feel less than human, if you perceive it as I must have forgot, then you can target it as reminding yourself.
So you say it's innate. It's just in you. Even if we were subjugated and made to feel like we're less than human and all these things around us and make us feel less than human, we still already had that kind of innateness, and it comes out in these more, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but these more subconscious ways. But we maybe
in
it's a
ways,
selective,
metaphysical ways.
right? Would you say
Absolutely.
it's selective forgetting?
What you say?
Would you say it's like a selective forgetfulness?
Yeah, it's like trauma. Trauma is trauma. I started viewing certain things as trauma or looking at things that way from being around John Le Carrier a lot, because he speaks on, just being aware of trauma and understanding how to process it and things like that. So I thought that was kind of fly. So I looked at it that way. Like the trauma around you is going to try to affect you, but your ability to interpret it in a way where you're leveraged, like I always talk about leverage, that's my art. That's a craft. That's like a martial arts of the way I think of things. I've learned how no matter what my nature is, I'm the human. Nature depends on me to tell it what it is. You know what I mean? And when you look at it that way, it has a very like moral, like there's a side of it where you feel accountable. You feel like if my nature around me isn't a certain way, then it might be a reflection of my state of mind. You know what I mean? So you begin to take a responsibility for it. And then you find yourself in a position where you begin to have servitude over something that needs you to be what it is, or needs you to not be so much of yourself. You know what I mean? So it all just plays on each other. But I feel like if you ever feel like you're not human, it's because you forgot. And music and all those other ubiquitous ways we communicate, you know what I mean, reminds you of that.
Well, I think to piggyback off that, I see some of it as kind of like a two-sided control issue. Ever since Black people were brought to America, even though that innate human thing is there have always been power sources that sought to control us as humans and also control what humanity for us meant.
Thank you, bitches. And I'm still pissed off about that, too. IQ said we coming for y'all little dog mustache hoes. But that's for later. They pissed me off. Like, I ain't pissed off a little bit. Don't put my mask on.
But yeah, that's the only reason we ever struggled. Yeah, if we were made to forget in a sense. I was reading this article one of my coworkers from the casino sent me. It was called The Nigger Marriage, and it was talking about how they would take two brothers and two sisters and put them together, and they would make them procreate. And then once they succeeded, they would separate them. And whether or not whatever gender they was, it was a psychoanalysis of what the stripping of the father would do to the behavior during the rearing of this child. It talked about how the mother would make sure that the female child would be independent and strong just like her, but would have attachment issues. And then the son would be strong in body, but weak and codependent. And so it just makes you see that in spite of all of the efforts currently to have a dissonance over the effects of history, folk are stupid, and just see they can't handle the guilt of everything that they did.
Oh shit! Wait, pause. So you're gonna have to edit like a little definition of dissonance because y'all are musty. Y'all missed that one because y'all a little musty. That man said dissonance. Look up dissonance and then hit us back when you put cognitive in front of that. And then tell me how that relates to racism, and then get back with it. But that's what they. But go ahead, TJ.
For real, like the guilt that people have in dealing with the history that they perpetrated. You hear about the president talking about the left trying to rewrite history. No, y'all already rewrote it. We're just trying to tell the truth. There has been so much that has been left out of books. We Lovecraft Country on Sunday talked about Tulsa from 1921. It featured all of that. And you just can't they drop bombs on American people who are just trying to be well-to-do in their segregated but equal and affluent neighborhoods. And the white people came up in there and blew it up because they couldn't let us have nice things. Mm-hmm. So anytime we struggle with humanity, it's because there have always been people seeking control. And I know that in my grown man stage, anytime I didn't feel human, it was because I was always worried about what other people thought.
So that humanity was always through somebody else's eyes. You said something really powerful there, man. There are industries that are controlled by the white people that honestly, like you just fucking said, throw temper tantrums, right? Think about this. Every time some shit like is really powerful and black, these motherfuckers throw a goddamn temper tantrum. You know what I mean? And the only time that we... One second. Only time we ever stop feeling our worth or feeling that is because like what TJ said, we looking at it from their eyes because we not fitting into their industry. So if we can't... If we not fitting into our industry means then we get to thinking, okay, we can't feed our families. Oh, I'm not suitable enough to be in this. No, I think exactly what Dom said. Dom, like you really just fucked my mind up a little bit right there. Power was never lost. We conceded that power selectively because if you look at it, fashion, music, everything, even your racist favorite racist, their daughter loved them some black culture. But then they looked at me like, okay, let me over here and own this industry, so that then and we conceded that power to them. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dom.
The crazy thing about the industry is the fact that naturally we are more industrious than they could ever be. That's why they have to usurp control, because out of their control, our abilities trump anything that they can do. No pun intended. It supersedes that. We are that gifted without any suppression or weigh down. Our freed mind is more powerful than anything that they can ever do, and they know that. That's why control is their biggest power, and that's the reactions that are going on right now. It is white fear. And all we're seeking is equality, and it's crazy. Things had to be unequal for them to be superior, because in a perfect world where it's equal, we're probably their superior.
Equality makes them scared. Like there was a quote from somebody that said, "They're lucky we're not seeking revenge. We seeking equality." So even through all this fucked up shit, we could be on some old Nat Turner shit. Justifiably so.
They deserve it. But we're not. We're somehow we're also gracious. It is. Like Dom said, some things are natural by creation. We weren't created to be vengeful. We weren't created to be evil. Evil is something that was learned after birth. That's not something we were born with.
Go ahead, Don.
That gets into some spiritual shit. Let me shut up.
It's the bully who punched you dead in your face in like 6th grade, and then runs into you. You hit puberty in 11th grade, and you cock swole. Oh shit, Tony, you stood up?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh my bad. You cock swole now. This person still feel like you want your lick back. You didn't forgot about it because you spent so much time getting stronger. You forgot about when he hit you. Really, you're trying to forget about it. So he spends his whole time trying to convince you that you're not as strong as you are because he thinks you're worried about how he hit you. And that's what racism is. It's like, God damn, these motherfuckers is LeBron Jameses. We got to make sure we keep our country. We're not saying that this is everybody, but there's America the country, there's America the land, and there's America the empire. And y'all got to know how to tell the difference. And this is going to be something that Tony's going to love putting in. This is an excerpt from a poem called Dope. And Tony, let me know when it gets towards the end of the podcast, and I'm going to let y'all hear that. But it breaks down, it compares America to to a Kardashian in a very like interesting way.
I'll say it.
So we'll wait till later.
All right, I feel